It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell. And here we are all together for our 2019 Year in Review, log style. Chuck and Chucky are here. Of course, that's Chucky Bucky.
Either hi there, ho there.
And Uncle Chuck. Well, hello there, Charles Purcell. 2019, a hell of a year. All right. Okay. Kind of non-committal there. I don't know exactly what you mean. Well, that was my intention, to be a little bit vague. All right. Okay, here are the ground rules for today. It's our 2019 year in review, and our ground rules are that there are no rules. A whole year is a lot to cover, right?
Oh, sure.
So we're just going to jump around and comment on things that we find need commenting.
Okay, that sounds all right to me.
Well, sure, whatever you say there, boss. Okay. It's just that you know what I'm saying. There's so much. So, sure. You guys going to help me out with that?
Sure, I'm on board, baby.
Well, of course. All right. Okay.
Can I see, first of all, can I open things up with a little thought?
Sure. Like I said, there are no rules. Chucky Bucky, what's your thought?
I remember I was a little kid in Catholic school, and I was daydreaming and making little notes to myself like I tended to do while the priest or the nun was up there talking. Anyway, okay. I remember looking and thinking, okay, well, I was old enough to figure out my math. All right, I'm figuring out how old I was going to be in the year 2000, because I thought, oh, my goodness, I'm going to be, still a relatively young person, not like 90 or nothing. So anyway, I'm doing the math, but then I got to thinking, well, what are we going to call that first decade of the 20s? Because I grew up learning history. You learn about the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and you could always call it, that easy little shorthand. But what are we going to call that first decade? And so I thought, well, it'll be interesting to watch that over the years and see what people come up with. And danged if nobody ever came up with anything at all.
Yeah. I know what you mean there, Chucky Bucky. I kind of preferred the O's or the aughts. I know that sounds pretty old-fashioned, the aughts or the O's. But that never caught on. I heard one or two people say it. The one moniker that kind of stuck, but I don't think anybody was comfortable with it, was just the 2000s. And I think that's what everybody sort of landed on.
Right, exactly right. But the problem is the 2000s, that refers to the whole century.
Well, sure.
When you say the 1800s, you're referring to the whole century. The 1900s, you're referring to the whole century.
Yep.
If you say the 2000s, you're not referring to just the first decade. That means the whole century. So that is a totally inadequate moniker, as you put it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I completely agree. You're right, Chucky Bucky. They never came up with a name for the first decade. Never did. They had years and years to figure it out ahead of time, and we've had years since to figure something out.
Right?
And still we haven't got it.
That's right. Nope, it never happened.
Right.
And then the second decade, nobody's comfortable saying the tens. Do you ever hear anybody say the tens in conversation? The 2010s?
No, not really.
Sure, you'll hear it occasionally, but nobody's comfortable saying it.
Well, you got a good point there. We finally have a decade, the 20s. We could just call it what it is.
Right.
And, those first 2 decades of this century never got a proper label. Maybe as years pass and historians are forced to refer back to this time, maybe something will come up. Maybe they'll come up with a consensus for a name.
I don't know. I doubt it. If it hasn't happened by now, I don't think it's going to happen ever.
Well, it might happen sometime.
Okay, so anyway, just my thought.
All right. This is our 2019 year in review. Hey, you know what? The best thing that happened in 2019, this program, The Log, premiered on February 2nd of 2019.
Oh.
Yep. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
February 2nd.
You always do that. You always overpronounce. I notice that when you say February. It's just February. No. I agree with Charles Purcell. It's February.
Yeah.
February. But you don't have to say February. You don't have to February is a perfectly easy word to say. I don't know. It's not that easy to say. That's why I pause on it, just to be a little, I don't know. It's just my little joke. Oh, you're a funny guy. Not a joke exactly, just whimsy. I don't know. It's whimsical. Say February. All right. 2019 in review. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to run down a list here in rapid style. You guys just jump in whenever you feel you need to. Okay. Notable U.S. events. Let's see. January 3rd, Nancy Pelosi elected as the new House Speaker. That made quite a difference, didn't it? Oh, my goodness. Having the Democrats be in the majority in the House of Representatives, the whole year would have been so different if that hadn't happened. So, we're not Democrats around here, but we sure as heck ain't Republicans. So anyway, thank goodness that happened. Imagine the year we would have had if it would have been Republicans running the House.
Sure.
Oh, goodness. He would just be running wild, getting everything he wants all the time. And the American public would know nothing. 35-day government shutdown ends January 25th, so that ran over the holidays last year. He refused to sign a spending bill unless he got money for his wall, and that didn't happen. Oh, here's a fateful day. February 14th, the Senate confirms William Barr as Attorney General. Oh, that piece of, that toady, as you call him. He's Trump's toady. He certainly has affected the year as well.
Yep.
Let's see. February 15th, Trump declares a national emergency in order to try to get his funding for the wall. That never quite happens. March 12th, 50 people, including actress Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin, are charged with offenses related to a college admissions cheating scheme. Oh, yeah, my daughter is a great water volleyball player. Here are the Photoshop pictures and the forged records for you. Harvard University? Oh, no. And she cheated to get into USC.
Right.
Do you have to cheat to get into USC? I thought that was, I don't know. I didn't know USC was so prestigious. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's run down the timeline of the Mueller report release.
Oh,
yeah, that was just this year.
Yeah.
March 22nd. Mueller submits his report to William Barr, Attorney General. And remember, this is just 1 month after Barr was confirmed by the Senate, so Trump got what he wanted there. A couple days later, March 24th, Barr releases that ridiculous 4-page letter, that summary.
Terrible.
3 days later, March 27th, Mueller reportedly wrote to Barr complaining about that summary. 1 day later, according to anonymous Justice Department officials, Mueller, in a phone call with Barr, reportedly expressed those same concerns. Now, why is this important? Because on April 9th now, Attorney General Barr is appearing in a congressional hearing before the House, and he's asked about these media reports that the Mueller team is unhappy with the summary. And he just plays dumb. I don't know. And then the very next day, April 10th, he's in the Senate Appropriations Committee this time, and he's asked directly, did Bob Mueller support your conclusion? And he lies again. Lies to Congress.
Liar.
I don't know whether Bob Mueller supported my conclusion.
Oh, goodness. Oh, man.
He lied.
Yep, he lied.
Now it's April 18th, and we finally get a redacted version of the special counsel's report. It was released to Congress and to the public. So March 22nd was when it was originally submitted by Mueller. April 18th is when we see it. So they've had a full month to hide this thing, to sit on it, and to go out and lie about it. They've had a full month to kind of massage the report and let their lies marinate. And it was a pretty good strategy because it worked. By that time, even the liberals, even the Democrats were down on the whole thing. And then it took another 3 months. July 24th was when Mueller finally testifies. And when he doesn't put on a big damn show for him, then everybody's just all set up for disappointment. It was a masterful propaganda job by Trump and his consigliere Barr.
Yep.
Even though if you actually read the report, it's filled with evidence.
Sure.
And Mueller is begging Congress to impeach this guy.
Absolutely.
He says right in the report, Justice Department rules do not allow me to indict a sitting president. There are other remedies for that. And he's asked directly in his congressional testimony, by other remedies, are you talking about impeachment? And he says, well, yeah, go do your job. Impeach the guy. And they couldn't pull the trigger.
Nope.
They just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, that's right.
Because of this masterful rollout of the report by William Barr, chief propagandist.
Oh man.
All right, so there's the
That was terrible.
There's that.
Terrible.
What else?
I'll see.
What else happened this year? Wow. Let's see. Of course, we know there are more mass shootings than days in the year now. Each day sees more than a single mass shooting. May 31st was a major one. 12 people killed in Virginia Beach, Virginia. In June of this year, the first Democratic debates. At the time, it seemed so early, but I don't know. I guess you do what you have to do. Yeah.
You got to get your name out there. You got to raise some money. I guess they know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, the Democratic Party, geez, if I were king of the world, I would just abolish all political parties if I could.
Yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
But we love Bernie.
Of course we do. We love Bernie.
Go Bernie.
June 30th, Trump meets North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at the Korean Demilitarized Zone, becoming the first sitting U.S. president to enter North Korea. God.
And to what end? Accomplished absolutely nothing except stroking his own ego. Oh, look, I'm the first to do this. He's just such a joke. Has no idea what he's doing. Not the slightest notion in the world.
Nope.
July 6th, billionaire Jeffrey Epstein is arrested and accused of sex trafficking of minors. And, of course, we know what happened there. Killed
sure.
while in jail.
Yep.
Called a suicide, but everybody knows better.
Right. And then, everybody gets to cheer on this conspiracy thing because the right, everybody on the right says, Bill and Hillary Clinton had him killed. And everybody on the left says, Agent Orange got him killed. So who knows? They probably worked together on that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. That's Bill and Hillary and Agent Orange. They all got together and maybe they hatched that little scheme. Who knows? Well, someday we'll find out, and Oliver Stone will make a movie about it. Looking forward to that. Oh, here's one. July 14th. In a tweet, Agent Orange suggests that the so-called squad, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley, quote, go back to their home countries. Yes, of all Agent Orange's offensive tweets and racist comments, that one stands out. Yeah, go back. And now we are into the summer, July 25th. Of course, that date rings a bell. That's the infamous phone call between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Agent Orange, where Trump asks for a quote-unquote favor.
Got to do us a favor, though.
Another mass shooting, August 3rd, El Paso, Texas. 22 people killed. God damn. August 4th, another one. 9 people. August 7th, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, raids 7 Mississippi food processing plants, detaining almost 700 people.
Yep, we're on the Abolish ICE team, right?
Oh, yeah.
The ICE is just the modern SS. That's all they are.
Yep. Agreed. Here's one. August 21st. The Trump administration announces a rule change allowing the indefinite detention of immigrant families, including children. And this continues today. Yes, it does. It absolutely does. Of course, it's been struck down in courts, but the Agent Orange administration keeps appealing to higher courts, so it'll eventually wind up in the Supreme Court. And while it's on appeal, the policy stays intact. So immigrant families detained indefinitely until the Supreme Court rules. And if they rule in favor, then there they stay. It's like it's Guantanamo all over again, except with innocent families with children. It's incredible. It's just incredible.
August 26th, an Oklahoma judge orders Johnson & Johnson to pay a multi-million-dollar penalty for its role in the state's opioid crisis. Wound up being a $465 million fine. Yeah, that was significant because it was the first time, I guess, that a big pharma company was held responsible for the whole, at least in that state, the opioid crisis. Sure. September 3rd, I don't know why I'm laughing. The Pentagon diverts $3.6 billion in military construction funds to build Trump's U.S.-Mexico border wall. And I think didn't that go to the courts too?
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
Maybe
people know this better than I do. Has he gotten a penny yet for his wall? Yeah, you're right. It all went to court. Everything goes to court these days. I don't really think he's built 1 inch of new wall, though. Yeah, I think we can say that confidently. There have been some repairs and projects that were already planned, but as far as the new wall, not an inch built.
Nope.
A few more Democratic debates. We're now getting into the fall of 2019 as we review the year. Felicity Huffman sentenced to 14 days in prison. Oh, my God, 14 days. Oh, my goodness, I remember. Yeah, I remember at the time. That was what, September? Yeah, September 13th. There was a picture of Felicity Huffman juxtaposed right next to a picture of another woman who was sentenced to 5 years or something like that, just because she used a false address to try to get her kid into a better grade school. This single mom, African-American woman, and she got 5 years for doing that. And Felicity Huffman, 14 days. And then she didn't even serve the whole 14 days.
That's right.
They let her out after, I think, 10 days.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. There's your white privilege. Huffman must also serve 1 year of probation, perform 250 hours of community service, and pay a $30,000 fine. Yep. Oh, if you got the money, just pay the fine. There you go. That woman who tried to get her kid into a better grade school probably didn't have $30,000.
That's right.
September 15th, Purdue Pharma, maker of the painkiller OxyContin, files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Oh, yeah, and they're going to come out just fine. They'll come out of that.
Oh, yeah, they made their money.
Who cares? You make billions of dollars and you kill thousands of people and nobody goes to jail or nothing. Oh, you just, file for Chapter 11. Everybody comes out fine. Well, let's see. September 16, Manhattan District Attorney's Office subpoena 8 years of Trump tax returns. Of course, we still haven't seen those. Again, courts. Maybe that's the running theme for the year. Everything's in court. Yeah, there you go. Everything's in court. Remember back in the day, many years ago, tort reform was a big, big issue on the national political stage. They all wanted tort reform. That was a big issue. Maybe it needs to come back, that issue, but with a different focus. Of course, we want everybody to have their rights, so the courts are a good thing. But you can't just defy the law, which is what Agent Orange has done over and over again. When it comes to his taxes, when it comes to honoring subpoenas from Congress, when it comes to all the whole immigration policy, from the Muslim ban to all the border policies, he continues to defy the law over and over and over again, and he knows it darn well. He doesn't care. He just knows he can take it to court. And of course, that's why Moscow Mitch and the Senate Republicans are getting him all the judges he wants and needs so he can try to get these ridiculous things upheld in the courts. So, yeah, maybe we need some court reform in that regard. Yeah, you got a point there. Yeah, you do. I'm not sure what it would look like. But, yeah, actually, that's a good thought, Uncle Chuck. Well, I think so, too. September 24th, here we go. Pelosi announces the launch of a formal impeachment inquiry into President Trump. Now it begins. Pelosi very hesitant, reticent prior to that point, not wanting to go the impeachment route, but she feels she has no choice here. Early October, Bernie Sanders suffers a slight heart attack, spends a couple days in the hospital, discharged on October 4th, and ever since then, he has just been rising steadily in the polls. He looks great. He feels great. His poll numbers are really good. He's right up there, almost neck and neck with Biden in the national polls. If you haven't looked at this recently, take a look. As
Warren and Buttigieg have each had their moments in the sun.
Oh, right.
Their poll numbers have spiked and then they've fallen.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders, conversely, has no spikes, no falls, just a steady rise until the point now where he is continuing his upward trajectory. He's right there with Joe Biden in the national polls. He's right up there on all the early primary states, Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada.
Yep.
So it's looking really good for Bernie.
Feeling the burn.
All right, let's finish up. We're into late fall here of 2019 as we're looking at top stories. November 13th, public impeachment hearings into Donald Trump's presidency begin. And now we end the year, of course, with impeachment and the trial to begin our next decade. Let's take a short break here. It's our 2019 Year in Review. It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell, here with Uncle Chuck and Chucky Bucky, collectively known, of course, as Chuck and Chucky. We're doing our 2019 Year in Review program for you. We've all heard the news by now, right? Time Magazine's 2019 Person of the Year. Uncle Chuck, you want to make the big announcement that everyone already knows? Sure, of course. Well, of course, it's Greta Thunberg, the 16-year-old climate activist from Sweden and Agent Orange's worst nightmare. She's Time Magazine's Person of the Year, and well, of course she is. I think we all knew that. We predicted that 6 months ago or more. It was kind of a slam dunk this year. She's a fine person, and she's doing fine work, and we all admire her. Well, while we're on the climate, what do you say? 2019 Year in Review. Let's review. Let's see. I'm looking at The Nation right now. 2019, a year in the life of our escalating climate crisis. The climate news was not good this year. All the more reason to fight with renewed vigor in the next. By Dar Jamail. Yeah, it's been a hell of a year. The Arctic ice cap melting at even higher rates than earlier predicted. Dire reports coming out from climate scientists from the United Nations. Total mass loss of ice from Antarctica had accelerated at a pace 6 times faster than it had during the 1980s. Lord mercy. The Himalayas could lose most of their glaciers by 2100 as they warm up by 8 degrees Fahrenheit. This will bring radical disruptions to food and water supplies for upwards of 1.5 billion people. 2018 was the 4th warmest year ever recorded, with the only warmer years being 2015, 16, and 17. Global food supply already under severe threat. Climate disruption-fueled extreme weather patterns are also adding to the risk of global food crisis, as research revealed how multiple bread baskets, so-called, could fail at the same time. Various species of insects endangered. And reading again, to put it simply, when the insects are gone, so will be humans. And right now we are on a trajectory to lose most of the insects on Earth within 100 years. So study after study, 2019 was the year, not only of Greta Thunberg, but it was the year of warning. Every scientific organization, and again, the United Nations, 2019 was the year of warning. And if we're not listening by now, I don't know when we're going to listen. And so, sure, Greta Thunberg was the obvious choice for Person of the Year. And it's damn time we start listening. The year ended with COP25, which by all accounts was a huge disappointment. Just a lot of arguing about process and compromise. The CEOs, the heads of government, just cannot extricate themselves from the grip that money holds on the world. So 2019 was the year the climate crisis activists made themselves known in a way that they hadn't for 30 years. The reports from the United Nations and from climate scientists have given us a stark reality that is unique to the reports we've seen prior to this year. Because think back just 1 year. Most of us were still thinking 10, 12, 20, 30, 50 years down the road. Well, if we do this and if we do that, and then with technologies on the horizon where we can suck carbon out of the air, well, okay, that's all. We've got a couple of decades to do this. It's all going to work out fine. I think a lot of people were still feeling that. 2019 was the year that all changed. Now the reports are dire. Now the action we need to take is clearly imminent. And Person of the Year Greta Thunberg had no small role in bringing this to light. So on the advent of a new decade, maybe we can do it. Maybe we can. Our 2019 year in review. Chuck and Chucky are here. Got some little miscellaneous items for us. Chucky, what do you got? Oh, 2019. Of course, the meme of the year, the woman yelling at the cat. Who knows what's next, but we haven't seen anything like that for a while. That was a good one. Yeah, it was. I kind of hesitate to even bring this up. I don't care what the story is. I don't care what the origin of this is. It's just on its face so damn funny. I will tell you this much. It first showed up without even any caption. Just the two pictures next to each other, the woman yelling and then the cat. Somebody just tweeted it with the entry, "These photos together is making me lose it." It was just funny in and of itself, just the pictures without a caption. And then, of course, as we know, people started adding captions, and it was just, it's funny, I rail against basic culture all the time, but this is just damn funny. Yes, that's right. I agree. Of course, the woman, if you need to know, is, I don't know, she was a real housewife, I guess. A reality star, and this was a fight she was having. I guess she's been interviewed, and she said, that's fine. It's from a darker time in my life, and if people want to make jokes, it's fine. She's fine with it. She's not hurt. So where does the cat come from? Oh, I don't know. I'm sure there's a story. I don't really care. But, yeah, a woman yelling at cat. A meme of the year. Oh, you want to hear Merriam-Webster's word of the year?
Oh,
yeah. That's you got that, huh? Yep, I got it right here. Let me read it to you. Merriam-Webster announced that it has chosen they, T-H-E-Y, as the 2019 word of the year. The singular they is a pronoun used to refer to a person whose gender identity is non-binary, a word that itself was added to the Merriam-Webster.com dictionary in September of this year. The neutral pronoun is used in place of he or she. While they may be increasingly common in modern language as English speakers strive for more inclusive words, its use as a singular pronoun is not new. As Merriam-Webster writes, English famously lacks a gender-neutral singular pronoun to correspond neatly with singular pronouns like everyone or someone. And as a consequence, they has been used for this purpose for over 600 years. So there you go. They, Merriam-Webster's word of the year for 2019. Okay. Good for them. Of course, this was also the year for OK Boomer, which came and went. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. It literally came and went in just a few days. It was huge, and then it went away.
Yep.
But we're fans of OK Boomer. We like the phrase.
Oh, yeah, we do.
It's not ageist.
No, it's not ageist.
OK Boomer was popularized as a reaction to a video on TikTok of an unidentified older man in which he declared that millennials and Generation Z have Peter Pan syndrome. They don't ever want to grow up. The video inspired the phrase OK Boomer as a retaliation and dismissal of the ideals of past generations that have shaped politics, economics, and environmental so strongly. OK Boomer. Yeah. Pithy. As we've said, we love OK Boomer around here.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. April 15th, we didn't mention this, the Notre Dame fire. Oh, yes. You spent some time on that on the program here, as I recall. Yeah, I wasn't too upset about the Notre Dame fire. To me, Notre Dame was just a great monument to power, religion, money. The outpouring of affection seemed a little poorly aimed from my vantage point. Oh, yeah, I remember you weren't too popular with that opinion. No, that's right. And then, of course, they got billionaires to donate immediately when there's all this want in the world. Oh, let's donate $1 million or $10 million to rebuild Notre Dame.
Sure.
Yeah, it was all a little goofy to me.
Yeah, but you're not from France and you're not a Catholic and you just don't get it.
Yeah, that's probably right. There are a lot of things I don't get. It's our 2019 year in review. Oh, we all had a great time watching the U.S. women's soccer team take the FIFA World Cup.
Oh, yes,
that was exciting. That was a great highlight of the year. Oh, sure it was.
Sure.
And then, of course, Megan Rapinoe became a great celebrity, and she's outspoken.
Yeah, she just recently endorsed Elizabeth Warren for president.
Yeah, so she's reached a level of celebrity that she can endorse candidates, and it seems to make headlines.
Yeah.
So, good for Megan Rapinoe. Good for her.
Sure.
That's fine. I wish she had endorsed Bernie, though. I don't know why she didn't endorse Bernie.
I know, right?
It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell. Chuck and Chucky are here. It's our 2019 year in review. And, of course, this is not only the 2019 year in review, it's the whole decade year in review. We're starting a new decade.
That's right.
So we'll do a little decade talk. Here's something. 31 things we totally forgot happened this decade.
31?
Well, I'll just go over the ones that I find interesting. April 2010, the first iPad came out. It seems like it's been in our lives forever, right? But it was just back in April of 2010 when Apple released the first generation of the iPad. It was originally launched. It was quite a novelty tech item.
I remember when it first came out, a lot of people were saying, oh, this is so stupid and dumb. It's just like a big phone or a little computer. It was just they kind of made fun of it.
September 2010, Lady Gaga wore the meat dress at the MTV Video Music Awards. Good for her.
Dress.
I always liked Lady Gaga. I never made fun of her. I thought she and remains a fine artist. I got no problems with Lady Gaga.
No, me neither.
2011, the royal wedding, the first royal wedding of the decade. Of course, Kate Middleton marries Prince William. People get excited about that sort of thing. I don't know why. Planking became a thing in 2011.
Oh, planking.
Yeah, do people still plank? That was just an odd thing. Looking back at the decade. By the way, who are you reading here? Oh, I don't know. Oh, it's goodhousekeeping.com.
Good housekeeping.
But it's an interesting little list of the decade.
Got the seal of approval?
Oh, March 2014, the Malaysia Airlines passenger jet disappeared without a trace. In early 2014, 239 passengers and crew on board.
Man.
Yep, became one of the biggest aviation mysteries in history. The missing plane captured the attention of millions around the world, triggering a multinational search and plenty of conspiracy theories. Until July of this year, when the Atlantic gave us the clearest story to date of what happened, the plane was likely intentionally crashed by the pilot. That's the theory.
Didn't know that one.
Summer of 2014, the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Oh
yeah, I was challenged to do the ice bucket thing. It was
Were you?
It was for ALS, right? Yeah, raised a total. Reading here, raised a total of $115 million for ALS awareness and research, and even leading to the discovery of a new ALS gene. So the Ice Bucket Challenge, things that seem silly, but that's fine. That's good.
That's great.
Oh, the dress, February, as you say, of 2015. The internet had a heated debate over a dress. Is it green or is it blue or is it gray or what is it?
Oh, the dress.
Okay, so there was that. June 2015, same-sex marriage becomes legal in the United States. Oh, yeah. We often point to that as kind of a model for issues that take, a couple steps forward, a couple steps back. It's back and forth. There's some progress. And then all of a sudden, boom, overnight, the Supreme Court rules And same-sex marriage legal in every state. Pokemon Go hit the streets in July of 2016. Everybody went all crazy about that. That continues now to this day. I know there's a little corner bar that I frequent, and it's a kind of a hot spot for that. So that continues in one form or another. Of course, the Women's March of 2017, right after the election of Agent Orange, drew over 5 million people in over 600 marches across the world, with the Washington March alone having had 500,000 people in attendance.
Yeah, we were out there in Milwaukee.
So that was quite a response to the election, the inauguration of Agent Orange.
Yeah.
We had a total solar eclipse in August of that year.
The eclipse. That's when that dummy Trump looked right up into it, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that dummy.
And then in October, well, there you go. There's the Me Too movement. After Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein faced many public sexual abuse allegations in early October 2017, the hashtag #MeToo spread virally on social media and became a rallying cry for women as millions shared their own experience with sexual harassment and sexual assault. Spurring more than 19 million tweets, the Me Too campaign led to widespread awareness and discussion of the topic and has since then become a historic feminist movement.
Yep, nothing to sneeze at there. That, some stories are just dopey and silly, and some stories, have lasting impact. I think that one did, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, the second royal wedding then, May of 2018, there you've got Prince Harry marrying Meghan Markle, the American actress. I like this story. October of 2018, that was when the Banksy painting self-destructed. That was fantastic.
Oh,
Reading here. You might remember when this famous painting by British graffiti artist Banksy spectacularly self-destructed after selling for $1.4 million at an auction in London.
that was great.
A clever art stunt that involved the girl with balloon painting immediately running through a shredder after the closing bid was made. Since this iconic moment in 2018, the shredded work has been renamed Love is in the Bin and has been put up for display in a museum in Germany.
Okay.
So we like Banksy. We like Banksy, guys?
Oh, yeah. I love Banksy.
Sure.
He's got the right idea about art.
Yeah, I think so too. And then recently this banana duct taped to a wall, a lot of people just laughed that off, but I thought that was kind of brilliant. I loved it and think that's a discussion worthy of having. I don't laugh that kind of thing off. No, I'm a great fan of conceptual art and conversations about what is and isn't art and what the impact is. And
Okay.
I'm a fan of that sort of thing. Me too.
Oh, okay.
January 2019, the most diverse class of lawmakers in history was sworn into Congress. When the 116th Congress was sworn in earlier this year on January 3rd, it was the most diverse class of lawmakers to ever take office. The incoming class had a record-breaking number of women, people of color, and LGBTQ plus representatives. And among the 117 women newly elected to office, we also got the first Native American woman and the first Muslim American woman in Congress.
Sure, but all that diversity, that was just on the Democratic side, 99% of that.
Yeah.
The Republicans they're more male and white than ever before.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, and of course, April of this year, we got the first ever photo of a black hole. Astronomers were able to capture humanity's first ever image of a black hole on April 10, and it was a huge moment in history, not to mention it even sparked some great memes and internet reactions. We talked about it at the time, and to this day, I don't really understand it. My brain doesn't work that way. I envy people who do understand astronomy and physics. And
Oh, yeah, me too. I remember the three of us talked about it.
yeah,
To this day, I don't get it. I don't understand it, but good for them. And yes, it was historic for sure.
So there you go. That was events of the decade. Chucky Bucky, what did you come up with for things we should remember or talk about of the 2010s?
I got a site here from let's see, it's called Best Life, and here's their little list. Streaming culture. Yeah, I have to agree with that. Netflix began streaming service in 2007 and then started producing its own original content in 2012. Yeah, the whole thing on technology, when it comes to just goofy entertainment, I think we put way too much emphasis on that. What else do they say? In the first decade of the 2000s, we were warned about climate change and global warming. Well, that's not true. Bernie Sanders was talking about it back in the 80s, right? But in this decade, especially this past year, according to this Best Life site, whoever these guys are, I don't know. They say that's when, we really understood what going green really means. Maybe we do, but we're not doing it yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so let's be optimistic. The rise of smartphones, yep, of course. Instagram, of course. That was October of 2010. Instagram launches. Oh, what else they got? Superhero movies. We don't care about that. Jeez, they're so dumb. Nobody needs it. I wish all that stuff would just go away. Hip-hop and R&B's musical reign. It was during the 2010s that hip-hop and R&B dethroned rock as the most popular music genre in America for the first time ever. Okay. Good little observation to make there.
Yep.
So there you go. Just a few things from that little thing I found. All right. And I'll add to this talking about inventions. Yeah, you're right, Chucky Bucky. We, especially when we're talking about, futurism, we're going to get into that in a second, but developments of the 2010s here. Whenever we are reviewing a decade or looking ahead, I think you're right. We put way too much emphasis on personal convenience and entertainment. It really outweighs everything else. Okay, let's see here. Netflix, yeah, that's a defining institution of the 2010s. Uber, yep, changed the way a lot of people live and get around. Spotify. So, yeah, streaming services, music and video streaming services. It's too much.
Again, mention of the Apple iPad. So, I just can't get too excited about that. I really wish we would get over our fascination with these kinds of technologies because it's such a bore. I mean, who cares? Now, there's great technology that, it does wonders in medicine and in communications, in the way we are able to manufacture things we need or grow the food we need. Transportation, especially with driverless cars, automated transportation, all that sort of thing. There's plenty to get excited about without putting so much focus on our own personal, frivolous little entertainments. Yeah, I hear you.
Yep,
I get you.
Yep.
So maybe this is a good time to get optimistic and talk about the next decade. Let's do that. Tell you what, let's take one more short break. We'll come back and we'll look ahead, make some predictions for the 2020s. Coming up next. It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell with Chuck and Chucky. Okay, what will the 2020s be like? What is going to happen in the next decade? Here we are. Well, I've got one here, and it's just from some random person. He calls himself, or she, I don't know, Carla Dam Mark Smith. Don't know who this person is. They identify themselves as a dishwasher, active on Quora since 2015, and writes this about themselves. I answer people's questions on Quora because I like ranting and telling people how the world should work. So I have no idea who this person is, but somebody asked on Quora, what will the 2020s be like? And this person, Carla Dam Mark Smith, offered their opinion. And again, no idea who this person is, but I liked it.
Okay.
Here are some of the things they mentioned. 3D printing will become very standard. We'll all have 3D printers in our homes, and it'll change manufacturing and housing construction, all that. That's an interesting thought. And there again, that's using technology in a way that's not just frivolous or silly or entertainment centered. So, printers. virtual reality in the gaming industry. Again, games, entertainment, I don't care so much. Autonomous vehicles, I'll be really happy, and I'll make my own little optimistic prediction. I think 10 years from today, there's no such thing as a car that we drive. The combustible engine is way gone in history. It's just a thing of the past 10 years from now. And we get around by autonomous, not just individual vehicles, not just self-driving cars, but transportation that looks more like public transportation. And yeah, if you need something on demand, that can be had, but it's mostly about public transportation. That's my optimistic thought. This person says drones will become an everyday household item. I don't know about that. I kind of hope not. I don't really need to see drones flying around over my head.
Oh, no, me neither. No.
I'm not old-fashioned. I'm not a Luddite, but I don't really want to see a lot of drones in the sky.
I agree.
Androids and artificial intelligence, again, fine. I'm very happy with progress in that area, as long as it's not all just focused on how can we make money by making everybody dumb and happy. Internet, smartphones, apps, and social media, no major changes there. Yeah, I wonder, except for the advent of more VR incorporated into that, probably true. As for politics, let's see. Populism and political polarization have been growing trends. These trends will continue. It's funny because populism can be taken two ways. I mean, Trump sells himself as a populist and gets his support that way, but Bernie Sanders also sells himself as a populist, and they couldn't be more polar opposites, right? So populism in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's how you speak to it, how you answer the needs of populism. If it's going to take this fascist, tribalist, nationalist approach, well then, we don't want to go there. But if you want to take the Bernie Sanders approach, where the people who do the working and living and dying are the beneficiaries of their own hard work, well, then that's the kind of populism I can get behind. Here's my prediction for the 20s. We've got a great movement of young people. Gen Z and millennials are not afraid of socialism. We've got people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who will probably be president in 10 years. And my optimistic prediction is that we find a way to get rid of the Electoral College and gerrymandering and money in politics. Those three things make the current day Republican Party possible. The Republican Party as it stands today will not exist. There might be something called the Republican Party, but that'll just be people like Pete Buttigieg and Joe Biden. That's as far right as we're going to go. Because by eliminating the Electoral College, which is going to happen in this decade, that's my optimistic prediction, and by redrawing the districts and getting rid of gerrymandering, I mean, that's the only way the Republicans are currently in power. It's the only way. Poll after poll after poll shows us, undeniably, without question, that on the issues, the American people are basically center left. And a great number of younger Americans are left when you're looking at the comparative spectrum. So I'm very optimistic. I'm going to be very happy 10 years from today, I believe. We're going to be on the right track. I'm still going to be a lefty, and I'm still going to be fighting the fight because there are going to be issues to battle over. But the center will move dramatically. What else does this Quora guy have to say? Wars, global conflicts, and global issues. I hate to say it, but I think a conflict similar to the Cold War may begin between America, Russia, and China. Yeah, I think if we get our house in order, it'll have a great impact on global society. I've never been an exceptionalist, an American exceptionalist, where we have to lead the world, but we're still big enough and strong enough that we do it's just kind of a default position. So I think if we get our house in order, it can have nothing but a good impact on the rest of the globe. What do they say about media? The future of the media is social media, period. I agree. That's fine. We were going to I planned on talking about the music of the year, the songs of the year, but who cares anymore? It's really about local music. Right here in Milwaukee, Sista Strings was the artist of the year, and their album Classic was the album of the year. And that really got so much attention in social media. And I really hope that trend continues here in Milwaukee and whatever city you're listening from right now, I hope your city has a great, vibrant music scene, and that through social media, the best artists are able to rise and be recognized and be heard. So I hope that's the model. That's my prediction, that it will be. And then a group like Sister Strings can get some national play. They rise to the top of Milwaukee, and then they become known elsewhere, and we can still have some music that we share as a nation. That's fine. I have nothing against that. I just don't want it forced down our throats and written by a handful of writers, or by, the dystopian future would be that artificial intelligence writes all our music because they know exactly what we want and will press the right buttons in our brains to react. So that whole area of music and entertainment, I hope it becomes more localized, becomes more personal, and social media can certainly facilitate that. And in the 2020s, I think that's what happens. I think that's the way the world ought to work, and that's the way it will work. Money will be gone. I might not be able to abolish it like I'd like, but I think if we approach not only the making of art, but the growing of food, the manufacturing of small products, if we treat it as a local service where we're serving each other, even if we can't completely abolish money, I think we can make it so irrelevant that it's virtually abolished. That's my goal for the 2020s. We'll get there. So you guys have any predictions for the 20s? Oh, I just want to keep on plugging away, right? I'm good. I've said many times, I don't bother with any of the streaming services. I'm not caught up in all the dopey entertainment and conveniences.
Right.
Who needs it?
Yeah.
I think that's just a phase we're going through. So my most optimistic prediction of the 2020s is that through the environmental movement and with younger people growing into the roles of leadership, that we're going to take a turn where technology serves us and doesn't just entertain us, and it's not made just by people who want to make a buck and get into our brains just so, they can get our attention so they can make money. I think that if that changes to a world where we are all producers and consumers of quality products and art and music that we share with each other, yep, I'm totally with you, and I think there's no reason we can't get there.
Yeah.
And certainly with the younger people embracing socialism and rejecting capitalism, there you go. I think we can do it. I think the 2020s are going to be, we're going to look back, 50 years from now and say, oh, look at those 2020s, what we did there. Well, you know what? This is really making me, my heart is swelling with optimism here, you guys. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah. Sure.
What brings to mind, you're talking about American exceptionalism and other people talking about how, America is the next great civilization to fall. Every civilization falls. Let me read a little bit here.
Yeah.
It's just a little blurb. It's a video from The Atlantic.
Yeah, okay.
Which we obviously won't get into, but just the little blurb. At its height in the year AD 177, the Roman Empire seemed all but invincible. It was the most expansive political and social structure in Western civilization. Then it fell, in a manner so spectacular and swift as to belie its greatness. Could the same fate be in store for America? In a new episode of The Idea File, staff writer James Fallows, he's good, he's been around for a long time. James Fallows is a worthy guy. He's worth reading. Anyway, let's see. James Fallows explores the possibility that the collapse of our superpower may be imminent, but that may not be a bad thing. The end of America as we know it doesn't necessarily mean the end of America, Fallows says. In deconstructing the events that led to Rome's collapse, Fallows argues that by exiting the world stage, Rome paved the way for a rebirth of sorts. Some things were lost, he says, but other things were created and became possible. So that's just the little promo blurb here for a video called Fallen Empires. So as we're making our predictions for the future, I think the 2020s, I couldn't be more optimistic. I think that probably is when America ceases to be the America we know. That is the capitalistic, militaristic, imperialist America. And instead, like you guys were saying, the people of America, and especially the younger generations, just seizing on the creativity and the altruism and the communitarianism of the younger generations, I'm going to be very, very optimistic about the 2020s and about America and about the world in general. Like you said, even if America isn't the great leader of the world, just by our sheer force of creativity and presence around the world, we can't help, as you said, just by kind of a default,
Right.
but be leaders.
Yep.
So I'm optimistic. Let the 2020s begin. All right. Thank you. Uncle Chuck right there. Thanks, Uncle Chuck.
Well, sure.
Chucky Bucky, you guys are great.
Well, thank you.
Chuck and Chucky, there they are.
All right.
Well, thank you and Happy New Year, everybody. Hey, I got a little thing for you to do on New Year's Eve. It's something we used to do when I was a kid. We still do it. Okay, what's that? A little New Year's Eve tradition? Yeah, exactly right. So my brother and I came up with this when we were just kids. Right at midnight, when you whoop-de-doo and you holler and say Happy New Year. What you do is you shave and a haircut 2 bits. You know that one? Dot, da, 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 dot,
Yeah.
dot, dot.
Yeah,
You know, dot, you know how that goes.
Sure.
Everybody knows that, right?
Yep.
Well, here's what you do. Right at midnight, you go dot, da, 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 dot. and then you stop right there. You don't finish it. And then the following year, right at midnight, you go dot, dot, you finish it. So it's the longest shave and a haircut 2 bits. It's a year long with a 1 year pause. So it's dot, 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 dot. And then you wait 1 year and you finish. You go dot, dot. And so then, of course, then you do the one for next year. Then now you did your dot, dot. You finished it and you all have a good laugh about it. And then everybody together you go dot, 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 dot. And everybody just, and of course you have to do it a few times because it never fails. Somebody has to be funny, right? Everybody together goes dot, 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 and you wait a second, and then somebody goes dot, dot. No, you weren't supposed to finish it. We have to wait a year. So, and that happens a couple, 3, 4 times before somebody finally, okay, dot, 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 dot. And everybody waits, and nobody chimes in. The joke is over. And now, okay, that stands, and we wait 1 year to finish it. Dot, dot, yeah. So there's your little New Year's tradition that I pass along to you, and you have fun with that. Especially, oh my goodness, if you have kids,
Yeah. Okay.
oh, they're gonna love it. They're gonna just love it. All right, thanks, Uncle Chuck. That is a pretty
That
good.
was a
that's
good
a pretty
one.
good little tradition.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, there it is. There's the logs, 2019 and 2010s decade in review. So wishing you all the best. It was a weird year, man. It was a weird year.
Sure was.
Wishing us all the best for 2020 and the decade to come. We love you.
Happy New Year.
All right. Happy New Year. See you in 2020. This episode of The Log is available right now wherever you find your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, iHeart, YouTube, and the podcast source. Enter Charles Burcell Presents in the search window. Or best yet, go to charlesburcell.com. There you'll find this and all the other series in the podcast family. Follow, comment, and contact me on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks to our flagship terrestrial station, River West Radio, riverwestradio.com. Theme music composed and performed by Peter Donalds. From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Burcell.